I'm John Bachman. Welcome to Newsmax TV. We're here at the Republican National Convention in Tampa, and I'm sitting here with the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Gingrich, thanks for being with us.
Glad to do it.
All right, so you're hosting a series of seminars called Newt U. Tell us how things are going and how the attendance is.
Anybody who wants to can go to newtuniversity.com and sign up. They can get it. We have 2 hours a day, started today on the fact that we can do better. I spent part of it on Medicare and part of it on economic growth and jobs, and then part of it on reform. We had Governor Scott Walker from Wisconsin, and we had Governor Gary Herbert from Utah talking about how they had reformed government, what they had done to really both improve things and save money. We are going to talk tomorrow about the fact that we built it, and have a lot of small business people, a lot of other folks talking about that. My wife Calista actually is going to talk about religious liberty tomorrow as part of that. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about an American energy independence plan, building on what Governor Romney's proposed, and build around something I believe deeply, which is that no future president should ever again bow to a Saudi king, and the way to do that is to dramatically increase American oil and gas production. And then finally on Thursday, we're going to be from 11 to 1, and we're going to talk about American exceptionalism and on believing in America. So it's exciting. We had over 1,100 people online today, about 300 people who came to the Newt University program, and we're working with CAPEX, which is a division of Kaplan University, so that we have it online. We're going to archive it so that people can get to it all fall, and we're going to take pieces of it and put them together into learning modules. So we think it's a real contribution to having a more fact-based and idea-oriented kind of approach.
How exciting is it for you? You're a teacher. This is
I
your
love doing
root.
this stuff. Yeah. I love solving problems, and I think that the combination of learning and teaching is a key part of solving problems. So for me, listening, getting someone like Governor Herbert to talk about the terrific things he's done on deregulation in Utah, or listening to Governor Walker talk about the reforms that he brought to bear in Wisconsin and the whole process that he had to live through to get that done. Well, Jimmy Kemp, Jack Kemp's son, who runs the Jack Kemp Foundation, was there to talk about economic growth, along with Larry Kudlow, who was a great economist and was part of the original Reagan gang developing economic growth. So I think it's great for us as a party. It reminds people that we are a very broadly based, idea-oriented and solution-oriented party, and I'm delighted that the Republican National Committee and the Romney campaign has been so enthusiastic in having us do it.
You and your wife Calista were scheduled to give a speech here about the importance of the Reagan presidency and how those ideals can be applied today. Given that things have shifted around a lot, are you still going to be able to make the speech?
Yeah, I was told we're going to speak Thursday night. As you know, Calista and I did a movie, Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, a documentary about his life, and they asked us to have, they're going to be about a 4-minute video and then a 6 or 7 minute tribute to Reagan that Calista and I will do. The video is very emotional, very effective, and I think people are going to find it a terrific reminder that Reagan and Romney facing Carter and Obama are actually in many ways very similar situations at this point, and that the country made a very big choice in 1980, and we think the country will make a very big choice again in 2012.
Right over our shoulders here is this new debt clock feature that started when the gavel struck earlier today. I mean, we're already at almost half a billion dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, so $500 million. Do you think that that's really going to hammer home the point here?
I think it helps. I think it's a creative idea, and we have never had a president who behaved as much like a teenager as Barack Obama. I mean, he's running around with a credit card, spending our money, our children's money, and our grandchildren's money, building up a huge debt. And if interest rates go up at some point, we'll end up paying more interest on the federal debt than we pay for national defense. And people need to realize how big a threat this is to our long-term economic future.
Governor Romney, as well as others, have really hit Barack Obama for continuing to bring up George W. Bush in his presidency. Given what we're dealing with this tropical storm, probably a hurricane coming up, do you see Barack Obama trying to gain politically from that storm and trying to make a comparison there again?
Well, I don't know what he'll do. I mean, if he can gain politically, he will try to gain politically. But, I'm always struck, and I tell people, I remember I was part of the '84 campaign. Ronald Reagan, at the end of his first term, didn't campaign against Jimmy Carter. He campaigned with the slogan, leadership that is working. He was positive about morning in America. He had a terrific record of job creation, and America was back. 4 years into Obama, he has to campaign, he has to give us excuse after excuse. So somebody said, that he started with yes we can, and now his campaign slogan is why we couldn't. And I just think that's pretty inadequate and tells you what a failure the Obama administration has been.
Are you surprised by the tone of this campaign, how negative it's been, especially as of late?
No, I think Obama cannot possibly slow down and have any hope of getting reelected. He has got to pile every ounce of negatives he can on Mitt Romney, because if this campaign is on big issues and big choices, Obama is going to be beaten very badly.
Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann recently made a comment that the Tea Party has already won based on the impact, the effect that it's had on the party. Do you think her comments may have been a little premature, and what role do you see the Tea Party playing in 2012?
Well, first of all, the great story of self-government never ends. So every time you win, you got to get up the next morning and go back and win again. It's not it's not like football where there's halftime and there's a final gun. But I would say that the Tea Party, everybody who's in the Tea Party should feel pretty darn good this year. You look at Indiana's results, you look at Nebraska's results, you look at what just happened in Texas. There's clearly a continuing underlying momentum towards more constitutional government, less spending, lower taxes, more limiting power in Washington. And in a sense, it's actually drawing the two parties further apart. We're becoming even more decisively the party of the Constitution and American exceptionalism. They're becoming even more decisively a party of European socialism and the welfare state. And so in that sense, the Tea Party's had an enormous effect on the whole tone and topicality of American politics.
At the end of the day, though, the two parties do have to work together. Nobody knows that better than you, trying to bring together two extremes on both sides. After this election, we're going to have to come together. We have enormous problems we have to solve. Can it be done?
Of course it can be done. When Ronald Reagan won a decisive election in 1980, and we picked up control of the Senate by winning 6 seats by a total margin of 75,000 votes. In the House, where I was serving, we had a Democratic majority and Tip O'Neill was Speaker. We had to get 1 out of every 3 Democrats to vote with us in order to pass anything in the House. But we didn't do it by compromise, we didn't do it by personality, we did it because President Reagan took a very powerful program, went to the American people, and the American people convinced 1/3 of the Democrats to vote with us. And so Governor Romney, if he does win this, is going to have pick his fights carefully, make sure they're very popular. But let me give you 2 examples. About 79% of the country wants an American energy independence plan. Now, you start getting up into that range, you can start putting together a coalition, because there are enough Democrats who want to run for re-election in 2014 that they're going to have a bias to say, well, I don't want to go home and get killed. Second, you take a question we just asked that Kellyanne Conway did for us this last week, which was, if your choice is between a bigger government and more services with a smaller economy and fewer jobs, or a bigger economy and more jobs, but a smaller government and fewer services, which do you prefer? By 70-16, the country prefers a bigger economy and more jobs with a smaller government and fewer services. And if you say, how strongly do you feel about it, it's 52-9. Now, you can build a program around a 52-9 base that allows you to get a fair amount done, because if you reach out to individual Democrats, not to the party leadership, but to individual Democrats, a substantial number of them are going to decide that they have to be with you.
This will be the first time a lot of people tune in to this political campaign. A lot of us hang on every word, but not everybody in America. Romney has that speech Thursday night. What does he have to get across to the American people, to the independent voters, to sway the election in his favor?
Well, I think there are 3 speeches that really matter. Ann Romney, who I think will humanize Mitt, put his family in context, give you a sense of who they are. Paul Ryan, who is really coming of age as the first great national leader of the next generation of Republicans. And he's got to come across as caring and human, but also with a real plan and a real courageous commitment. And then I think Romney's got to cross, and I'm different from a lot of analysts. I don't think Romney needs to worry about being kinder and gentler. I think Romney needs to worry about saying to people, I have the background and I have the experience to get this country fixed. We are in real trouble. This is the worst recession since the Great Depression. And this is the greatest deficit pileup in our history. And Washington is clearly out of control. And if you want a strong person with a strong background who will roll up his sleeves and get the job done, then I would like to be your president. But I don't think he can compete with Obama. If you want somebody to go have a beer with, Barack Obama will win every time. It's just that he's not competent.
Well, he does like beer. He's talking about it a lot these days.
I tell people it's like having two plumbers you could hire. And one can't fix the plumbing, but he's really nice. And the other could actually get the plumbing fixed, but he's probably not going to sit and drink a beer. Which plumber are you going to hire?
Nobody likes leaky pipes.
That's right.
All right. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, always a pleasure talking with you. Thanks so much for stopping by today. And thanks for watching Newsmax TV.